A very pleasant good evening, everyone. From the Airborne International Raceway, Hometown Cable presents MotorSports Magazine. You can see the numerous motorhomes and cars in the parking lot, but as you take a look down at the stands, we're about a half hour from race time. Still quite a few empty seats. Drivers meeting going on right now over in the pit meeting. And Steve, there is an absolutely fantastic field of cars here this afternoon.
Oh, you bet you. A lot of ACT cars making their way in for the finale for that division. And enough that some of the street stock and legend competitors are not actually in the pits, but rather in the parking lot is where they're going to be pitting for this weekend. That could prove interesting if they have to go in for a tire change, but we'll know as the course of this weekend rolls on.
During pre-race warm-ups, over 47 Flying Tigers in attendance, Steve, and it's going to be some great battling going on just to qualify for the main event.
That will be interesting. Let's keep in mind that that points battle is still up in the air with Steve Miller and Brent Dragon to decide it between the two of them. But a lot of Thunder Road regulars who don't always come over to Airborne ventured over for the final race of the season, and they could be a spoiler for those two drivers.
The ACT Points Championship is just about wrapped up. All Junior Hanley pretty much has to do, Steve, is start the race.
And if he starts it, I think he's pretty much going to win the title. There's no doubt about that. Robbie Crouch, gallant effort for second, but he's going to have to settle for the runner-up spot this year, I'm afraid.
Also, it's a very interesting race coming up for the street stocks. 3 25-lap Monza-style segments. No heats for the street stocks, Steve. They'll be drawing for the starting positions. So with over 30, 35 street stocks in attendance, it's going to be tough for the guy that wins that first segment to try to fight his way through the pack in the second.
Oh, absolutely. Let's take it into account that most of the cars finish the first segment and are able to start the second. That means that you are going to have to pass more than one car a lap to win the second segment. And it's only a couple of drivers who I think can do that. Of course, they are Steve Renadette and Mark Lamberton, the two that we're going to be keeping our eye on for. But once again, Thunder Road regulars made their way over, and they may be a spoiler for those two drivers.
Well, it's Fall Classic weekend here at the Airborne International Raceway. 300 laps for the American-Canadian Tour, as well as the Tigers, Street Stocks, and the Legends. And we're going to have it all for you right here on Hometown Cable's Motorsports Magazine, coming up next. we get ready for the first segment in the 25-lap street stock features. And Steve, Jim Mason has drawn the pole in the 79.
Yeah, Mason with a good starting position, but, you know, do you really want to win one of these? It means you got to start dead last in the second one, so it will be tough. In the battle within the battle that we were talking about, Mark Lamberton and Steve Renetta, where are they starting? Well, these 35 drivers drew numbers. Strictly heads-up start. Lamberton drew number 9. Renetta, number 25. So already Mark Lamberton with a big lead before the green drops.
35 cars to go 25 laps. They come down to pick up the green, and Mason gets a big jump. Jim Mason with a huge lead after just one lap. Mark Lamberton forced to go 3 wide in the 21. Unfortunately for Mark, the 61, the former Danny Dubuque car, in the way. Oh, we got a spin in turn number 4. Trouble. That's the St. Clair car, the 61. He's taken over the driving from Danny Dubuque. And the caution flag will come out here in the street stocks. And Steve, the more caution flags there are in this race, the more it's going to benefit the likes of Renette, Williams, and White, who are way in the back of the pack.
Oh, absolutely. That way the guys leading cannot run away. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Young pitting the automobile, that's going to almost eliminate his chances of winning the overall title. And the incident up in 4 was real simple. Mark Lambert had been going 3 wide all the way around the track, and when he came out of 4, it was a situation there was not enough room. Lamberton driving 3 wide, Mike St. Clair trying to hold the car down, unable to, and they came together, and that's what caused the accident up in 4.
Jim Mason leads it in the 79, and Steve, after just a couple of laps, he built up over a straightaway lead.
Well, he built up that straightaway over guys like Shane McFarland and Bill Herring, who do not run here regularly. Right behind him, though, or right next to him on the restart, will be the 48 of Monty Lemaire. If he can pull away from Lemaire the way he pulled away from the other guys, then he's got an awful good handling car today.
Safety crews working up in turn number 4 as the field comes by. What about these extremely windy conditions here today, Steve? Do you think it'll play a factor in the handling of these race cars?
Well, they can't do anything but play a factor. When these cars go into a turn, the drivers will tell you that they're not always as controllable as they would like them to be. And if you happen to catch a wind gust or a guy gets under you a little too much and gets a little wind under the car, it's going to make you very, very loose. So that could prove to be a very dangerous situation with a big field like we're seeing here, or with the American Canadian Tour cars that travel at such fast speeds. Actually, while we got a moment, one car missing from the starting field was one of the New York drivers, Ron Klein. Found out before the races started that Ron has been admitted to the local hospital, so we're hoping the best for Ron. Obviously, will not be racing anymore this year, but we're looking forward to Ron Klein returning in the driver's seat for the 92 season at Airborne.
George White has stopped down at the flag stand, and he's having a conversation with Mike Wilder. Apparently there's some question as to where George White belongs in the field. One thing they have done, Steve, is reshuffled at the front of the pack, and Lemaire in the 48 car has been put back to 4th.
Right, those two guys that I spoke of earlier, the Thunder Road regulars, McFarland and Herring, they're going to go in between the leader and Lemaire. So once again, good chance Jim Mason can get a big lead early.
They'll sort the lineup out as they come down to the front stretch this time. And we'll see where they put George White, and Mason leads it.
All right, fans, in the battle between the two top drivers, Lamberton and Renedin, I tell you they start 9th and 25th respectively. As they are on the field right now, Lamberton sits 10th, and get this, Steve Renedin, 13th. Well, scratch at his Mark Lamberton has put up a couple of spots, but still, Renedin has made an awful lot of ground early, so it does not look like Lamberton is going to get a good jump on the 76 as he would like to.
Street stocks continue under caution while they reset the starting field. Once again, Jim Mason with a huge jump on the rest of the field. Now look at Mark Lamberton as he quickly picks up cars on the outside.
My Lord, our race leader, Jim Mason, should thank his fellow Vermont drivers. They allowed him to get a half a straightaway lead by the start-finish line on that restart.
Mark Lamberton goes 3 wide. Monty Lemaire on the inside in the 48. Lemaire takes over second. Lamberton now runs third. And those two will try to hook up and run down the 79 of Jim Mason. Lamberton now looks to the outside of Lemaire. Backs off going into the third turn and will, for the time being, be content to run in the third spot.
At about 15 car lengths behind the third place Lamberton, it's the 76 of Reddit who moved up to fifth, and Steve Reddit is on the move. Major trouble up in 1 and 2. Eldred Hutchins goes skyward, brings the car down on all four. George White involved. Eldred Hutchins almost rolls the car end over end in the air. A wheel has fallen off of either the 3 or the 37. Can't tell from the angle, but Eldred Hutchins with the ride of his life.
Steve, a car on the move has been the 76 of Steve Renadet. He's been gaining ground very quickly and really had a battle going with the number 6 car as the 6 car got into the side of him 2 or 3 times we saw.
Renadet has been mired in heavy-duty traffic, but has come through very, very quickly. And as Lamberton sits third, Renadet sixth, and there's a lot of laps to go in this first segment.
Tough break here, though, for George White in the 3 car, as this will all but take away any chance he had at picking up the $1,000 first prize.
Oh, no doubt about that. I can virtually assure you both drivers are A-OK. Eldred Hutchins, the guy that went skyward, has driven the car away from the scene. George White out of the automobile, surveying the damage. But like you said, Rick, he is not going to be $1,000 richer when this is all said and done.
Caution flag is out. It's going to take a while to get things sorted out. Well, Steve, just 5 laps down, 20 to go, and Renadet is already up to 4th.
Yeah, well, it didn't take long to get, but again, 21.76, they're going to have to do battle on the track, and that's what everyone came to see.
Look at Mark Lamberton go right between the 2 leaders. Takes over second on the outside, and there's Renadet in the 76. What a battle on the front end.
More trouble on the backstretch. 3 cars get tangled. 2 of them keep going. Shane McFarland finally fires the car. No caution now. I can tell you, fans, though, as the leaders come up to the site, there were several parts that got scattered, and anybody could cut a tire up there. Meanwhile, the 76 of Renadet getting by Lamberton again sideways. Mark returns the favor, and Jim Mason says, thanks for the lead, guys.
Great battle going on between the 21 and the 76. Battling it out for the 3rd spot.
As long as Lemaire, Lamberton, and Renadet do battle for second, Jim Mason will be the happiest guy on the track because it means they can't pass him for the lead.
Inside opened up quickly for Steve Renadet. He takes over the 2nd spot, and they're already in lap traffic. He'll try to run down Jim Mason. Mason moves to the outside as if he's letting Renedette go right by.
It worked. Jim Mason knew the right line. Steve Renedette got caught behind the 49 machine. But he gets some room now. He gets to the inside of Mason on it too. And Steve Renedette takes over the lead.
Renedette started in the back. He is now the leader.
In about 7 or 8 laps, he became the leader from 25th starting position. So a very impressive run already for Mr. Renedette.
Jim Mason holding down the second spot. Mark Lamberton runs third. Monty Lemaire is fourth.
Renedette increases the lead. About 8 or 9 car lengths. Jim Mason, the pole sitter, runs second. Mark Lamberton, unable to get by Mason, still sits third. Monty Lemaire fourth, and flying Brian Williams rounds out the top 5.
Halfway this time by for Steve Renedette. And Steve, I'm surprised that Lamberton has not been able to put away Mason.
Well, you know, he made a couple of moves early using the high groove. I don't think he used up his tires, but I'm wondering in that contact earlier on with the 61, if he didn't bend something in the suspension area, because he has not had the same control of the number 21.
Renedette coming into heavy lap traffic. Caution flag is out. Jimmy Young is sideways in the third turn. He quickly gets out of harm's way. But the caution flag does come out once again here in this first segment for the street stocks. And it's going to be awfully tough, Steve, for anybody to catch Steve Renedette in this first segment. But should he continue on and win this, he will be starting dead last in segment number 2. And for him to come up front through some of these cars that we've seen here today, a lot of back markers that have come over here from Thunder Road. That's going to be tough.
Well, I don't know. He started 25th, and about 8 laps in the race, made his way toward the front. Grant you, he has to start 10 positions farther back. I wouldn't be worried about him being able to get to the front. Like you, I'd be worried about what some of these other guys may do. It may make it awful tough for him to make his way to the front. But again, the way that Mark Lambert is running, he's only going to start 3 positions out of the tail end, so he's not going to have an easier deal either.
Caution flag is out. First segment for the street stocks here at the Airborne International Raceway. We'll remind you that you're watching MotorSports Magazine on Hometown Cable. Once again, they're set for the restart. The lap cars stay in their spots.
Laps to go, 10 laps of the first of 3 segments to settle in for $1,000. And I got news for you, Mr. Renedette is quick. With the fastest car on the track, that may belong to the Gerber baby. Chet DeMarty going after Mark Lamberton, and the 14 is flying out there.
Lemaire now looks to the inside as he tries to get by Jim Mason. And I'm sure if Lemaire opens up the door on the inside, Mark Lamberton will follow him right through. There's a good battle going on. Oh, look out. They get into the back end of Mason. And he goes around going the wrong way in a one-way street. But Mason quickly gets out of harm's way.
And how quickly the yellow comes out. Oh, hey, Jim. Maybe wants to go up to Jim Mason and ask, what does it feel like to be spun by the 48? Tell Jim to go talk to Billy Fountain on that one.
The man that benefited the most was Mark Lamberton in the 21 car, and that allowed him to move from 4th to 2nd.
Oh, that may be, but like I said before, I think the quickest car is not Steve Renadette or Mark Lamberton. I think it is Chet DeVarney Jr. because on that last restart, he just put the car on the outside and just was passing him left and right.
Once again, the street stocks are under caution at the Airborne International Raceway in their first of 3 25-lap segments to determine the winner of the $1,000 first prize this weekend. Steve Renadette on the inside, Monty Lemaire on the outside, row 1. It's Mark Lamberton and Chet DeVarney in row number 2. Renadette starts to pull away. Lamberton looks to move to the 2nd spot. Good battle developing for the 3rd spot between Monty Lemaire in the 48, Chet DeVarney in the 14, and Brian Williams in the 64. 5 laps to go this time by.
DeVarney doing it the hard way, using the outside groove. It's going to be tough. Brian Williams looks to the inside, 3 wide out of 2. That is a battle for 3rd. And as they head into turn 3, DeVarney gets a little bit of a lead over Lemaire. But Brian Williams does not want to give up, and Brent Courier gets involved with the 30.
There goes DeVarney. He spins in the 14. Once again, the recipient of a bump from Monty Lemaire in the 48. The caution flag comes out. And Steve, we've seen twice today Monty Lemaire in the 48 spin out cars he's been competing with. He took out the 2nd place car of Jim Mason, who he was trying to pass. Here he just took out Chet DeVarney. And earlier in the season, he took out Billy Fountain for good.
Yeah, he sure did. You have to wonder, when are they going to do something about it? It was clearly obvious in all 3 cases, but well, so far he just stays out there racking up the kill points.
Caution flag is out. Steve Renadette leads it. And Mark Lamberton on 2nd. Renadette and Lamberton side by side on the restart.
Mark will never have a better chance than now.
Renadette starts to edge away from the Moores Forks driver. Monty Lemaire holds down the 3rd spot. Brian Williams is 4th. Brent Courier running 5th. Two laps to go this time by for Steve Renadette. Mark Lamberton runs safely in the 2nd spot. Monty Lemaire is third, Brian Williams fourth. Steve Renadet halfway through his final lap. And he will come around and pick up the checkered flag in 1 point in this first segment. Renadet wins it. Lamberton finishes second. Lemaire fourth, or third. Williams fourth. Brent Courier finishes in the fifth spot. We expected, Steve. Renadet and Lamberton running 1-2. And those two cars will start last and next to last for the second segment that we'll see later on this afternoon.
Well, Steve Renadet has proven that he can come from the back of the pack in a hurry. I would anticipate Mark Lamberton could do the same, but can he do it as well as Steve Renadet today? We will know in a few races.
Steve Renadet circling around the track for his victory lap. And this his final performance in the street stocks, as Renadet will be moving to the Flying Tigers next year, Steve.
And a lot of Flying Tiger drivers dread hearing that, because if he is half as good as the Tigers, he is a street stock, he may easily pick up a few wins here at Airborne.
Renadet gets the win in the first segment for the street stocks. The ACT late models coming up next in heat race action. First heat for the ACT late models. Randy McDonald in the 01, Roger LaProle in the 00. Row number 2, Robbie Thompson and Matt Bazowski. Row number 3, Beaver Dragon in the 75, Sylvain Metzevier in the 82. Row 4, Derek Lynch and Ron Saldi. Row 5, Richard Thibodeau and the 43 of Don Biederman. The caution flag will stay out as the field is not grouped very well. Continuing on with the lineup, Doug Stokes runs the car number 30, Robbie Crouch in 48, and Mark Lanphier driving the 06.
Caution still out on the track. Beaver Dragon getting it sideways and bringing it back. Damage to the 15 automobile, and Derek Lynch got into the back end of the 75 while they were still under caution.
I thought the street stocks were all finished, Steve.
I guess not, because that definitely looked like a street stock move. Let's try this again.
Caution flag is out once again. This is ridiculous. The field is not bunched at all.
And Beaver Dragon making a motion here, telling Derek behind him, please slow down this time, Derek. Yes, it does look they're 2x2. We should be able to get a start next time around. Once again, Randy McDonald, Roger LaPerle setting the front row. The two gentlemen have set them on their way. Well, we got a chance. Good time to mention that Randy McDonald is not 100% in that car. A couple of races ago at Mosport, severely injured himself as far as hitting his head very badly, in the hospital a couple of days, and has no idea what happened. He can't remember the entire day's festivities.
It's Randy McDonald getting the jump into the 01. Roger LaPerle running in the second spot. The 09 of Robbie Thompson holds down the third spot. They complete lap number 1. And Thompson in the 09 holds down that third spot. He battles with Roger LaPerle while Randy McDonald starts to pull away in the 01. We continue to watch the battle between Thompson and LaPerle. Robbie Thompson goes through on the inside. Here comes Beaver Dragon. He takes over the third spot.
Only 4 qualified through the heat races today, so that means the defending champ, Robbie Kraus, still has to pass 6 automobiles to make it to the semi.
Top 4 cars will qualify for the main event. see Crouch trying to work his way past the 28 of Richard Thibodeau and the 33 of Matt Bazowski from Hudson, New Hampshire. Bazowski is the only driver from Hudson, New Hampshire here, as Dion has not appeared.
Well, word was that Dion would come here to back up his 300 win from Beechers last year. Obviously, he's not to be nowhere to be found in the Airborne area.
At 43 car is multi-time Canadian champion and former New England 300 winner Don Biederman, making his return to ACT action here at Airborne. This is action in the back of the pack. As we swing back to the leaders, they're entering the front stretch. It's Randy McDonald in the 0-1. Robbie Thompson runs in the second spot. Beaver Dragon is third. Roger LaPearl is fourth. 1 lap to go for Randy McDonald. Robbie Thompson right on the back bumper of the 0-1 car. McDonald keeps the 0-1 at the bottom of the racetrack, and he will hold on and pick up the victory. Beaver Dragon picks up the third spot. LaPearl finishes fourth. Metivier fifth. Derek Lynch sixth. Ron Saldi finishes seventh, believe it or not. Ron Saldi, seventh.
Normally we pick on Ron, but I watch him during heat races, and believe it or not, his car was hooked up as good as anybody's, including Crouch's and Hanley's. Ron Saldi was definitely moving quickly during heat, and he looked good in his qualifier, so maybe we can expect some good finish from Ron Saldi some point this weekend.
The winner of the first heat for the ACT late models from Oshawa, Ontario, Randy McDonald in the GM Parts Pro Shop number 01. McDonald makes his return to the race scene on the ACT after the injuries that Steve spoke about early. A victorious one. Randy McDonald, the winner in the first heat. Heat number 2 for the ACT late models. Andre Beaudoin and Bill Zardo Jr. on the front row. Beaudoin gets the jump. He holds off Zardo on the outside. Don Forte runs in the second spot in car number 42. Steve Monroe in the year 08, and John Paul Cabana in the 5A is off the track.
John Paul Cabana, the 5A, got helped off the track, you mean, as he got a little bit of a tap on the inside that sent him spinning.
Caution flag will come out for John Paul Cabana, who is gone off-roading in turn number 3. Set for the restart. Top 4 advance to the semi-feature. At red and white, number 10 is the new car of Ralph Nason from Unity, Maine. Battle for the lead. Beaudoin on the outside. And now Forte takes the lead on the inside in car number 42. Zardo gets into the side of Beaudoin, and Zardo goes around. And he has come to a halt at the exit of turn number 2. And the caution flag will come out once again. The leader is the 42 of Don Forte. Running in the second spot is the 77 of Andre Beaudoin. Steve Monroe runs in the third spot. Leo Poirier runs fourth. Ralph Nason in the 10 runs fifth. Then it's the 11 of Claude Leclerc, the 1X of Brad Layton, the 12 of Larry Caron, Jean-Paul Cabana in the 5A, Phil Pinkham in the 07, and the 2, which is the second car of the Kevin LePage Motorsports team. That's being driven today by Berger Blake.
Berger making his first appearance, but he has some good machinery, as Kevin LePage always has a good car, so Blake has the equipment. We'll see what he can do with it during the course of the weekend. You may mention the new Ralph Mason automobile. Fans who follow ASA Racing, that is the former Scott Hansen, number 53, so that car has been in victory lane, and whether or not Ralph can put it there, we'll know soon enough.
Caution flag is out.
The rookie doing well, leading the way, Don Forte, the 42. Good story of him. Early this season, he went to a race in Canada with no car. Now, on the American-Canadian Tour, it is very common to buy a ride. Someone qualifies the car, you buy the ride in the feature. He didn't only buy the car, he buy the ride, he bought the car. That is a former Don Peterman automobile.
Don Forte from Laval, Quebec starts to pull away from Andre Baudouin as it's an all-Canadian top four. Ralph Nason starts to move up in the number 10.
The fans show their disapproval. It's one of the favorites, Jean-Paul Cabana, is leading with a black flag. Jean-Paul being sent to the pits by the black. Well, now they change their mind and tell Cabana, yeah, you can run, so they cancel the black, but he's all confused in the car.
Nason takes over the 4th spot. Here comes Brad Layton moving up in the 1X. Now Nason looks inside of Steve Monroe, but Monroe shuts the door this time. Bit of an opening coming into the front stretch, and Nason tries to power his way through. Nason goes to 3rd. He brings Layton with him. Now Layton looks underneath Nason.
And with moves like that, you know why Brad Layton in the 1X is the 1991 Rookie of the Year on this tour. He is something when he gets that car moving.
The youngster out of New Hampshire showing some great moves, taking over the 3rd spot. 2 laps to go. And back up front, it's Don Forte in the 42. Your leader. It'll be 1 to go this time by for Forte. Donald Forte picks up the win. Baudouin finishes 2nd. Brad Layton 3rd. Ralph Nason 4th. Claude Leclerc picks up the 5th spot.
Good showing for rookies. They finished 1st and 3rd in that heat. So the rookies, after a year's worth of toiling on the tour, have shown that they can run with the big boys.
Well, it's a good performance for the rookies. A very dismal effort by Jean-Paul Cabana in the 5A. And he's stopping to have a talk with the flag stand.
And 100% correct. What happened there is he was running at about 5th or 6th in a good battle. They threw the black. He slowed down. As he came by the next time so he could pit the automobile, they canceled the black and told him it was all right, he could continue. So obviously Jean-Paul not sure what the call was there, and that took him out of possibly qualifying for the semi.
Don Forte from Laval, Quebec picks up the win in this 2nd heat for the ACT late models. Third heat for the ACT late models. Danny Knoll Jr. and Steve Burgess in row number 1. Danny Beatty and John Greedy in row number 2. Or check that, Yvonne Bedard in the 9. Row 3 is Kevin LePage in the 21. Green flag is out, and another sloppy start. They go 3 wide into the third turn. Danny Knoll Jr. leads the first lap. Dan Beatty runs in the second spot. Kevin LePage runs third. Bill Zardo Sr. is in the fourth spot.
Well, if a rookie was to win this one, it apparently would have to be Danny Knoll, one of the New York drivers. But that will be tough doing with the 1991 Milk Bowl champion right behind him. And Kevin LePage, who has amassed the most points during the Airborne ACT races. You just account Airborne races for the ACT, LePage is leading the way. So he is the man who has gotten the best grip on this track so far.
Donald Feige in the 80 car is off the pace. And he has come to a halt in turn number 4. So the caution flag will come out. And one thing this caution flag will do, Steve, is bunch the field. And it'll give Junior Hanley a chance to move up in the back bumper of some of the top cars and possibly make it to the semi-feature. And if he does, that locks up the points championship.
Well, I would never count Junior out of anything. He could always move up. He's proven that time and time again. As a matter of fact, earlier this year, early in the race, he went 2 laps down. He came back to win the race, so he is probably the most dominant driver on the tour.
Danny Knoll Jr. from Buffalo leads the race. Danny Beatty is in the second spot. Kevin LePage is third. Bill Zardo runs in the fourth spot. And Steve, I see you looking skyward. Give us an update on the conditions here.
Well, if you're looking through the camera, you can see nice clear skies up in turns 2, 3, and 4. But if you were to look over our shoulder behind us, there is a major black cloud rolling in, and it's a question of time before we may get wet up here. So we may not get all the racing scheduled for today in. Still has to be seen if Mother Nature cooperates.
They will go green next time by. Danny Knoll and Danny Beatty running 1-2 in this third heat for the ACT late models. Danny Knoll in the 6, Danny Beatty in the 53, battling it out on the front end. Knoll drifts a bit high. Here comes Beatty on the inside.
If you are a regular viewer of Motorsports Magazine, you know that my favorite ACT driver is Dan Beatty. However, I usually think he needs a few laps to get the car moving. He is going much quicker than I thought he would. Therefore, he could be a serious threat to win this qualifying. But I guarantee you, when the Fall Foliage 300 rolls around, if his car's hooked up, he'll be up near the front.
Junior Hanley moves up. He goes by John Grady. And he takes over the 5th spot.
Junior Hanley still 1 spot out of qualifying. He has to get by the Z-Man, Bill Zardo Sr. That may be a little easier said than done.
One lap to go this time for Danny Knoll.
And if these qualifiers are any indication, look for the rookies to put on a whale of a show.
Hanley trying to get by Bill Zardo for that final spot in the transfer. Will come down the stretch, and Zardo edges him out for the final transfer spot to the semi-feature.
And as they go into turn 1, there may have been a bump because Hanley and Zardo gave each other a hearty tap.
So at least for now, the championship is not locked up, but Hanley will qualify, and once he does, it's all over.
Basically, and if Junior Hanley does not qualify, it means the car broke on him because there's no way he will not have a good run.
How about the nice run put in by Danny Knoll?
Well, I'll tell you, I was a little surprised that Don Forte won the second qualifier. I'm even more surprised Danny Knoll won this one. Not because Danny Knoll's not a competent driver, but because of the gentleman who was starting right behind him, guys like B.D. LePage and especially Junior Hanley. I mean, he had an awful tough time holding him off, but he did. He deserves the win.
Danny Knoll picks up the win in the third and final qualifying heat for the ACT late models. 12-lap semi-feature for the Flying Tigers. Danny Bridges on the inside of the front row, Lester Armel on the outside, and Bridges edges away. Milt Wright runs in the third spot. Pete Fecto is fourth. Doug Hoare moving up in the 46 on the outside. He looks to move around the 0-3 of Milt Wright.
Pete Fecto pulls to the infield, so he's out of this semi-feature.
Danny Bridges continues to lead it. Trouble in turn number 3. 36 of Scott Carpenter and the 19 of David Gay. Involved. Both cars managed to keep going. Carpenter is going at a snail's pace, and it doesn't look as though he'll be able to make it around. And the caution flag will come out.
Tough break for Doug Hoare. He did a whale of a move to get to the inside. Lester Armel to take second, but with the caution coming out, he's going to go right back behind the 71.
They get set for the restart. Danny Bridges on the pole, Armel on the outside, Doug Hoare inside of row 2. Lap Flying Tigers semi-feature. And now Danny Bridges has his hands full of Doug Hoare as the feature winner a couple of weeks ago in the Tiger division looks for the top spot here in the semi.
Danny Bridges shuts the door on him that time, but how many times can he do that? Doug Hoare looks like he's got a little bit more horsepower under the hood. Now goes to the outside. He better watch out, though. Dwayne Lanphier lurks in third with that number 40. Could easily pass them both.
Bridges, Hoare, and Lanphier. A good three-car battle for the lead.
When Danny Bridges first showed up several weeks ago with that number 9, could not keep the car straight. Well, he's figured out how to get it hooked up now. As he was leading up to that turn, and Doug Hoare now assumes the lead. Bridges back to second, Dwayne Lanphier third. Dennis Carroll runs fourth, and Joe Thomas rounds out the top 5.
Doug Hoare starts to pull away from Danny Bridges as the battle heats up now as Dwayne Lanphier moves on the outside, and he looks to take over that second spot from Bridges.
Doug Hoare runs all alone out in first. Dwayne Lanphier finally disposing of the number 9, moves into second. The 9 of Bridges runs third. Thomas up to fourth, and Dennis Carroll has dropped back to fifth now with 2 to go. Well, apparently the New York drivers didn't like running next to each other. Joe Thomas and Danny Bridges, who are running third and fourth, conveniently took each other out in turn one as they just went into the side of each other. One lap to go for Doug Hoare. Bridges is out of it. Joe Thomas already going to the pits.
We saw Thomas limping back toward the pits. Bridges was able to continue, but he's dropped back to the last spot in the finishing order. As Doug Hoare picks up the win, Dwayne Lanphier finishes second, Dennis Caron third, David Gay finishes fourth, Richard Bootsy rounds out the top five. Even though a disappointing finish for Danny Bridges, he has looked real good today, Steve.
He's looked super. He led for several laps in the semi-feature. I think the problem laid with the fact that he didn't have as much horsepower as the 46. And once the 46 got a good bite out of the turn, it was just simple for him to get by. But Danny Bridges has looked good. Maybe he'll get things turned around for the feature.
Doug Hoare picks up the win in the semi-feature for the Flying Tigers. Semi-feature for the American Canadian Tour. This will set the top 12 positions for the New England 300, now called the Fall Classic 300, saying New York is not in New England. Robbie Thompson in the 09, Danny Nolan the 6 in row 1, Bill Zardo and Ralph Nason in row number 2, Roger LaPearl, Brad Layton in row 3, Danny Beatty, Randy McDonald, row 4. Beaver Dragon, Kevin LePage, row 5. Don Forte and Andre Bodwin in row number 6. They're set for the green. Knoll runs Thompson right into the dirt. And Danny Knoll takes the lead in the 6.
Danny Knoll desperately wants a Triple Crown, but remember, the 300 is going to be the hardest part of that.
Danny Knoll Jr. in the Karuba Collision, number 6, leads the way. Robbie Thompson looking to come right back on his inside in car number 09. Ralph Nason drifts a bit high, and he will drop back. Now Knoll drifts a bit high, and Thompson wisely backed off, but he's right on the back bumper of the youngster from Buffalo. Good battle going on for the top spot, Steve, as Danny Knoll and Robbie Thompson, two young drivers, are really battling it out.
Oh, absolutely. Knoll is a rookie. Thompson, a couple of years on the tour, has definitely gained a lot of experience. They go into one together. Thompson knocking bumpers with Knoll. Knoll will not give up. Bill Zardo Sr. sits third, but he can't do a thing with the two youngsters in front of him.
Knoll again runs Robbie Thompson right into the dirt. But this time Thompson has enough, and he sneaks by on the inside. Danny Knoll drops back to second. Bill Zardo Sr. in the 46 will try to get by Knoll, but he quickly puts that number 6 back on the inside.
And even though we haven't mentioned them, there are several heavy hitters in this field, including Beaver Dragon, Kevin LePage, Randy McDonald, and Ralph Mason, but they're all running in the second half of this semi-feature.
Thompson starts to pull away. It'll be halfway this time by. The battle for the second spot between Danny Knoll Jr. and Bill Zardo Sr. Roger LaPearl runs in the 4th spot. Brad Layton is 5th. Danny Beatty is 6th. Beaver Dragon runs 7th. Randy McDonald is 8th.
Robbie Thompson not backing off. That last lap, 17.3 seconds. So Robbie has definitely got his foot in the accelerator. Keep in mind, whoever wins this starts on the pole for the Fall Foliage 300.
Thompson has pulled away from this battle for the second spot. Now Danny Beatty looks to go underneath of Brad Layton in the 1X. And those two are side by side heading into the fourth turn. Beatty on the inside, Layton on the outside. And Roger Leperle just ahead of those two cars. This is a battle for the fourth spot. Will Beatty make it 3 wide? He thinks about it, but wisely backs off. 2 laps to go for Robbie Thompson.
There is no way for Robbie to lose it himself. He has no competition behind him. Noel runs second. Another good distance to Bill Zardo Sr. Good battle for fourth. Leperle on the inside. Rookie of the year, Layton on the high groove.
Final lap for Robbie Thompson. The youngster from Owen Sound, Ontario, will come down the stretch and pick up the win. Danny Knoll finishes second. Bill Zardo Sr. finishes in the third spot. Roger Leperle picked up the next spot, and it looked like the 1X of Brad Layton held on for the fifth spot.
Robbie Thompson, very impressive. Never really backed off. Right about the same lap times those last few laps once he got into the lead. So he knew that even though he had a healthy lead, he couldn't back off because there was too many good guys sitting behind him.
But the good news is for Robbie Thompson, Steve, that he will be on the pole for the Fall Classic 300.
That is something that I'm sure all the drivers wanted to have the honor of doing. And Robbie Thompson's the only one to be able to do it, though. He gets his victory lap carrying the checkered. And in all honesty, he hasn't had too many. He gets good finishes in his heats and qualifiers and such, but doesn't get a whole lot of wins. Well, he picked up a big win this time.
But in a 300-lap race, Steve, it's probably doesn't matter where you start.
Well, it does only in the aspect that a lot of guys hungry at the end of the year may let it all hang out. If you're near the back, you may get involved in someone else's mistake. However, like you said, 300 laps, you're not going to win it from the pole because you start there. Getting ready to restart this Flying Tiger race. During that extended caution when they hauled off poor Lance Pernos 31 on a flatbed, we have been informed that we have given you some misinformation today by accident. We have been telling you Jimmy Barton is driving the 57, and why not? He has been all year. However, we have been informed the driver of the 57 today is none other than Bruce Dusablon, the former driver of the Mean Green #2 Street Stock machine. So Dusablon now moving into third, as he battles Greg Lyman up in 3 and 4. Stands in line to qualify for the big feature for the Tigers. Meanwhile, Dennis Demers leads the way over Pat Corbett. Bruce Dusablon, as I said, runs third in the 57. Lyman runs fourth, and Mike Potter rounds out the top 5 with a number 23.
Dennis Demers, the leader. Pat Corbett moves right onto his back bumper. Steve, that 5 car of Pat Corbett has not been the same since that fiery crash involving Bob McCaskill that he was also involved in.
Oh, absolutely not. That it took a lot out of the automobile. And if that wasn't enough, the day of the Milk Bowl during practice, Pat Corbett landed that car in the outside retaining wall to add further damage to it. So not nearly the same car he started with this season.
Dennis Demers leads it. Pat Corbett is second. The 57 of Bruce Dusablon runs in the 3rd spot. Greg Lyman is 4th, and Potter is 5th. Down 10 to go.
Trouble up between 3 and 4. The 14 of Phil Scott goes the wrong way. Gets it righted again. No caution on the track. We were talking about the number 5 of Pat Corbett being a damaged car. Phil Scott has had that number 14 on his top twice this year. So that car's also had a lot of damage. Scanning action back in the pack a little bit. We can assure you the top 3 have not changed. Dennis Demers over Pat Corbett. Then a considerable distance to Bruce Dusablon driving the Tiger for a change. Lyman runs 4th, and a great battle shaping up for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Herb Durham on the outside. Mike Potter in the yellow. Knapp didn't get enough when he put the 18 down, 2 to go. Only 2 laps remains for the gentleman driving the 86, Dennis Demers. He has increased his lead slightly over the 5 of Pat Corbett, but as he hits traffic, Corbett closes the gap up. This time out of 4, they will see the white flag. Corbett to the inside. Phil Scott blocks the way, and Dennis Demers says, thank you, Phil. Dennis Demers was a beaten man up there for the lead, but Phil Scott acted as a blocker. But he still might be beaten. Corbett to the inside, not going to get the job done. Dennis Demers.
segment 2 for the street stocks. The finishing order of the first race has been reversed, and George White is looking awful good to pick up a win. He starts in the 3rd spot.
Oh, well, definitely. The only question is, he was the other car involved with Eldred Hutchins, and is his car 100%? Well, his car is at least 50% because George White just got to the lead. I was actually fighting at one point, and I'm sorry, fans, but that will not work for an extended period of time.
This looks like Upper Cornelia Street on a Canadian.
Both going to try to give it a black.
Well, Steve, as we watch the Napa Legend feature, and this is not the main event that will carry the $500 to win. This is just a special race that has been added for the legends that showed up today. What do you think of this Napa Legend division? It started out maybe 10 or 12 cars, and then at one point, 25 to 30 legends, and now down to about 10 cars again.
Yeah, it's a great little division to break into race, and it's literally a low or no bus operation. And if you just want to go out there and see what it's like to be in an auto race, this is the division to enter. But again, you don't get paid a whole lot in this, so every time you do crash and it costs you money to fix your car, there's no money. It comes out of your own pocket, and that always hurts racing. But otherwise, it's a nice little entry-level division of racing. A lot of these guys race at Thunder Road. The legends are very popular and very prolific. There's a whole bunch of them that race over there. So, you know, hopefully, I'd like to see about 30 of these every week, but just financially, it's almost impossible to do that. In case you're wondering, that number 19 leading the way is one of the hot shoes over at Thunder Road. That's Randy Blake. And I know it looks a lot like the 91 of Greg Paye, but as far as I know, there's no connection there, even though the numbers are simply reversed. Blake leading the way. Chip Bissett, who won the last Napa feature here, runs second. And running third in the number 80, making his first appearance, is Randy Cleveland.
One lap to go. And the leader is all by himself.
Well, when you consider there's not a whole lot of cars on the track, that's not difficult to do. He started on the pole, so that's always a little bit easier too. Randy Blake, in his first appearance at Airborne, picks up the checker.